cybersecurity. I would be sharing that with you in a couple of days. I mean, in a day or two, maybe.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're now starting our tutorial. So in today's session, we're going to understand how business intelligence system play a key strategic role within organization. So we have already followed a couple of, we've already introduced the benefits of using business intelligence, and we also looked into some data analytics and visualization. Also, we spoke about a couple of these tools where we introduced some of them, such as Microsoft Power BI, IBM Cognos, and many other tools which they have their own dashboard that they use for reporting. And after introducing them, now we're going to look into the process, the implementation process. So we're going to look into the life cycle, system life cycle of a business intelligence, where we can see pretty much structured as every system life cycle, where we have a planning, then we have process design, solution design, configuration and customization, integration, reporting, training and testing, and support. So as you can see, there are different stages. So depending on how the company is structured and how they work, we'll now look into details how these stages are made. So also we need to take consideration of the business planning. So depending on the nature of the business and on how the assigned people are going to be working, they have to take consideration of the real-time information, quick decision, like time frame for decisions, and also the ability to identify trends in data. So this is really important for the business planning. And then we have business decision making, where the company has to now focus on financial, operational, and resources of the business in order for them to gain the most from using a business intelligence system. So we do have some learning outcome for this session, where we're going to explain the process involved with implementing a business intelligence system. Also, we're going to evaluate how business intelligence system facilitates better business planning. And then we're going to analyze how business intelligence systems support strategic and operational business decision making. And conclusively, we're going to evaluate the importance for a business to strategically plan the implementation of a business intelligence system. So coming to our first learning outcome, we already introduced the system development, the life cycle. And from the life cycle, there are some key things which we have to consider. This chart is now giving us some questions which our business intelligence system have to give an answer for us in order to have a real efficiency for me. So we need to understand what happened by using a business intelligence for reporting. And there is diagnosis, why did it happen, predictive, what will happen in the future, and prospective, what should we do. So by looking into this question, we can now structure our business intelligence system, which should come up with the best answer and process, life cycle process, for us to obtain the right answers for the questions. So there are different examples of project scope where we will know that we need to have a scope for our business. So for instance, with the domain name, we can now do some market analysis or financial analytics. While for other resources such as storage layer, we could now use it for data warehouse, or for instance, maybe on an analytical layer, we can now use it for OLAP cube, which is used for multi-dimensional data set for online analytical processing. So there are several projects which can be implemented using a business intelligence system. So for the life cycle, there are some implementation steps where we have to take consideration of the feasibility study, whereby feasibility, we're just going to analyze existing business needs, and by doing so, we now have all the requirements for our future BI solution. So we're just gathering useful data, which we will now use for our business purpose. Also, there are requirements engineering, which is simply defining the functional and non-functional requirements, where these requirements can be also further classified in two groups, which could be mandatory and optional, which are pretty much used to prioritize. Also, there is, for the steps, there is conceptualization and platform selections, which means that what we have to do is simply going to define the desired solution features to use, the technology and stack which are required to achieve the project. Also, is going to be mapping the proposed solution for the requirements. Also, is going to define the data source and the ETL process, evaluation, transformation, and loading process. And we're going to obtain some data quality assurance from implementing this process. Also, we have to look into project planning, where by project planning, we're just going to be defining the deliverabilities, assessing risk, estimating BI implementation cost, TCO, and return of interest, ROI. So by having a project plan, we can now structure our business intelligence in a more meaningful way and hopefully most effective. After them, there is development and user training. So as we all know, by development, which is going to work with our front and back end in order for us to implement our ETI process and have some good performance from it. Also, there is user training, where we're simply going to provide the appropriate training for the staff members who are going to be working with these BIS tools. Then we have launch and solution support and evaluation. So by launching, we have now completed most of our steps, our life cycle steps, and we already come to the phase where we are testing. And once we have completed the testing, we're ready to deploy our solution in order for our business to work with this structured data. And then we also have to keep on gathering information to improve our BIS solution by using support with these reports and evaluating for further implementations. Now we're going to evaluate how business intelligence systems are going to facilitate business planning. So as we all know, the purpose of using a business intelligence is for the business to improve their revenue, and by having all the data structured in a way that will be easy to assess by each single department of the business of the company. So as you can see, the benefit of having a BIS strategy is, for instance, single version of truth that leads to effective business decision, consistent definition, BI specialist and analytics maintaining the BI ecosystem, data quality in a priority. Also, we have to look into what would be not implementing a BI strategy, where we now have multiple versions of truth, where all these people would now refer to different data when making decision. Unclear name and definition that gets everyone guessing. Personal overhead with different departments having having their own business intelligence, and also the data quality is afterthought. So as we can see, it would be most recommended working with a BI strategy, which will now have loads of benefits. So as we can see, as benefits is not just internally, but we can also benefit with the market and the competitors. So therefore, by having a good strategy and business planning, we can now look into how competitors are using them, and we can also see if their strategy is effective. If it's effective, they will definitely have good revenues, and then it could be a good idea, and the same business can now think about using the same strategy, or maybe implementing a different one, depending if this is working. Also, there are benefits by using it, by gathering information from the customers, where our user experience can now gather information and look into the customer behavior, where we can now obtain useful data and improve our customer insights. So there are loads of benefit by using these business intelligence plans, where there are also streamlined marketing, faster decision making. Also, we have to look into sales strategies, where by using BI for strategy business planning has to be a must, where this useful data visualization are used on, they also used for the sales team, which will have now real time where the business is performing better, and they now have more techniques and more information for improving the sales department. And also, as we mentioned from the previous tutorial, BI is used also for human resource, where the analyst can now gather useful data about the employees and the performance, for now make some decision for the company. BI is also used for inventory and finance, where all the internal operation can now be suitably enhanced through BI, and it can now benefit on tracking inventory and supply chain operations, which we already mentioned in the previous tutorial. And other benefits are saving on time and money, which is one of the goals that we have to take in consideration. Now we're coming into analyzing how our business intelligence systems will now support strategic and operational business decision making. So as you can see from this image, where we already explain the phases by using this business intelligence, we can now look into the strategy, where it's often associated with reporting from analytic data sources and data warehouse. So what this strategy does is just going to improve the process by analyzing a predetermined set of metrics which are relevant to the process, and then provides historical content of data. So the strategy which is implementing will now provide the basic for instance, forecasting, goal setting, or even strategic planning and directions. So if we have to break them down, we can now see that the operational business intelligence, which is pretty much related to the reporting phase and using dashboards, will now have a transactional or operational data source, which will be typically consistent with reporting on data or during organizational business process. we already mentioned some of these benefits, but we can look into more of them, where we have such as early warning of business problem by tracking and analyzing KPI, more informed decision making by the business executives and users, operational improvement in department and business units, more effective marketing campaign to lower cost and boost sales, and better information of business trends for user in strategic planning. So these are the major benefit of using the applications. Also, we know that using them will now improve our decision making, where by decision making we can now, for instance, track the performance indicator to identify business issues. So it's really important for us to have a good track of what's happening and how we can improve this. Also, it's useful for accelerate and improve the business decision making, which I just explained. Then it will be really useful for optimize business process to increase productivity and efficiency. Also be really useful for analyzing customer data to improve marketing programs. As we said, is good for improving the marketing insights, where the marketing and sales teams they can now have in-depth information which they need, and they can now analyze them from multiple internal and external sources. Also, another benefits of this is the aid of corporate and business executives in strategic planning, where we're going to see that BI is going to be a key element in analysis strategic risks, where we have to consider the risk management and the risk that might come by having a bad strategy. And this BI is pretty much useful to identify these problems. So we have an example of UPS company, which is the biggest package delivery company in the world, where we can see that UPS also leverage data to optimize the package transport. And with the network planning tool, MPT, which use machine learning to solve the logistic and transportation challenges, who now can now be used for plan when parcels has to be delivered. Also, with the use of AI, is going to suggest the routes of on his own, where with this platform reportedly has saved millions of dollars for UPS. So by using this business intelligence strategy and machine learning, the company can save tons of time and money when it comes to deliver the goods. So there are different type of example for the companies, such as Walmart, for example, which they do use business intelligence tools as well to improve their productivity and and revenue. Now we're going to evaluate the importance for a business to strategically plan and implementation of the business intelligence system. So this model analyze in detail how what are the levels that have to be put into place when it comes to BI, business intelligence, where on the lower level, which is level 1, we are unaware of the data and how it has to be processed, where it comes through spreadsheets and information anarchy. And moving into the following steps, that's the opportunistic, where now we are gathering all this information and we can now start structuring it, creating a pattern for our information. Then we have standard, where the business executives become BI champion and our technology standard start to emerge. Then on level 4, we have enterprise, where we can now deploy an enterprise metrics framework. And on the last level, we have the transformative, where enterprise perform culture, business strategy driven. So this is how the model would start, and with the level 5, this is the highest point of where BI can reach by implementing in an effective way. Also, from the image, you have a roadmap of how an effective strategy has to be carried out. So this is everything for today's session. Do you have any question?
No, Victor, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow.